you're putting so much pressure on each other that you just need to have this end game.
I call it freedom, just a feeling I've been feeling. Gave me something to believe in, always there right when I need her. I call it freedom, just a feeling I've been feeling. Gave me something to believe in.
That's not what I wanted. I didn't want to have a design agency. So at one point I went to my boss and was like, okay, I want to raise. If I'm not doing it for my personal growth, I'm going to do it for the money. Because at that point, that was the only option I had. But at the time, we were also already thinking of Rendezvous. So me and George were already working on Rendezvous. So how that happened is like, I think it was 2011, 2012. It was a side project. George broke his leg. And he's a Greek guy, flirtatious. So he will flirt with everything that moves. So he was in bed for 3 months, forced to be on Badoo.com and all these things. And out of frustration, he called me and was like, dude, there's something really wrong with this dating industry. You concur. And we started brainstorming, because basically the realization was that if you want to meet someone, you go onto these websites. But actually these websites or these apps don't want you to date, because the more time you spend on them, the more money they make. So the need of the company doesn't justify, or it doesn't fill in the gap or the need of the user. The user wants to meet someone ASAP, they don't want you to meet someone ASAP. So there's a huge opportunity gap there. So the moment I asked for a raise at my old job, I called George as well. I'm like, George, I'm coming to London this weekend. I want to decide what to do with Rendezvous. So that weekend, we both decided that we're gonna quit our jobs and that we were gonna pursue Rendezvous on a full-time basis. So I went back to Belgium. My boss said, yeah, you and me discussed it. You got the raise. I'm like, yeah, I'm about that raise. I don't want it anymore. I'm leaving. We weren't outsourcing a lot of things, but we knew we had to outsource development. But before we did that, we had shitloads of prototypes which we tested on our phone. There's all these apps to do that. You design them, blah, blah, blah. Oh no, that's fucked up. Let's not do that. Up until we had a design and a product where we believed it would act as a great MVP. So then you, as a non-technical founder, you start looking for partners to do this with. Very quickly you realize that there's no CTO. They're like the pretty ladies at the club, and they know it, so you need to offer a lot in order for them to get in bed with you. And especially like an early stage startup where nothing has designed, nothing validated, you're nobody's. Nobody's gonna step into that ship. Luckily we met this dude, Joaquim, and he basically challenged us as like, what is the essence of your app? If you want people to use your app, what do you want it to do? Bam, bam, bam. Okay, so we basically made it a lot more streamlined, a lot cheaper, and we got our first product out. The app was pretty shit, but it looked nice. People liked it. And it was shit in the sense that even if you wanted to go on a Rendezvous, you couldn't really go on a Rendezvous because there was something wrong with the payment and there was this. So the trust level was really low. Especially in that time, if you wanted to, associate your credit card details with an app, you need to have the feeling that it was something that you could really trust. Which wasn't really the case with us. But anyway, trust levels aside, it allowed us to improvise a lot. And the coolest thing with us was that at one point we, that gave us the opportunity to go for a crowdfunding campaign. So on Seeders, which is equity based, so you give equity, so you invest £10 and you get 0.001% of the company. So we first did a raise there of 70,000, 69,000 actually, to be correct, in which we failed to raise that amount because of various reasons. But the reason was that you need to, the rule of thumb then was that you need 30 to 40% from friends, family, fools of the 70,000, which we didn't manage to get. We didn't know a lot of people with a lot of cash that wanted to invest in something as high risk as our idea. But then we failed that one. Immediately after, we did it again, but we asked ourselves the questions: what do we need to make this happen, rather than what would be nice to have. So we raised for 25,000, in which we knew 30 to 40% we can hustle our friends to put, like, even if it is £5, £10, £20, like, I'll design your logo if you put this. You hustle your way through the momentum. So you get the momentum. We overfunded to 34, which also enabled us for someone like a private angel to be, it's all about creating this fear of missing out. If you're raising investment, make sure that, why should I put my money today and not in half a year? That's what you have to make an investor so horny that he will pay 3 times as much. He will get like three times less shares in 6 months than he will if he invests today. So the fear of missing out is the key to raising investment. It all has to do with confidence as well, yeah. So if you're in there and you're talking with investors, you just radiate the vibe of like, dude, if it's not you, it's gonna be someone else. And if an investor gets that sensation, he's gonna want to be in. But if you are in front of an investor saying like, dude, like, yeah, we really want you and da, then he's gonna be a dick about investing. The second time we raised was summer 2015, if I'm not wrong. And then we raised again like 7-8 months later. And then we did another crowdfunding campaign, which also succeeded. But by then, the rule of thumb had changed. You needed to raise 80% through people that you know, or investors that were established. And then you top up the remaining percent by other people that want to just, enjoy the ride. You're raising, then your CTO gets into a personal situation in which he is kind of forced, he can't take lower wage. And so we were like, fuck, okay, you're gonna have to find something part-time. And for me personally, that was a big hit in the face, because I realized, like, how the fuck are we gonna find an investor, like a serious investor with no CTO, or like with like a part-time CTO in place? It's a huge red flag. And it's such a crucial part of the team as well. So for me, that was a realization that it was not gonna be easy. Then you're on this stage where you're raising 300 to 500,000, and you're going partially to VCs, and they are very strict, as I said. They have these checklists. So we're like, okay, fuck it, let's blow them away. It's the only way to get the money. Fear of missing out, as I said. Let's create fear of missing out. So how do you create fear of missing out? Great traction, great coverage. So do controversial stuff in the streets of London, put stickers everywhere, some marketing campaigns, press campaigns. Just get those numbers up. And we were getting to a nice pace, but nowhere close to what they were expecting. You're putting so much pressure on each other that you just need to have this end game. money in the bank was almost zero at that point. We were telling more like September is probably the last month we're going to be able to pay you. You don't pay yourself for months. We didn't pay ourselves for 5 months after that. I was like broke as hell. I was buying a piece of bread and pate for the week because I knew that was the cheapest lunch for me to have. And I remember in August I had this moment where I just couldn't get. I remember I went to bed at 11:30 in the evening. My alarm was at 8, and I couldn't get out of bed. But still, it's there. So we. I was on the phone with a friend, and she was said like, dude, you're screwing yourself up. Like, you shouldn't push yourself so hard because you're gonna get into a burnout or whatever, and it's gonna take you so long to get out of it. So I was like, all right, yeah. And she's like, she knows George as well. She's like, you're gonna go to George now, and you're gonna tell him I'm leaving for a week. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. So I go to George. George, I'm leaving for a week. He's like. And what he said then, and we talked about it last week as well, me and him, it was kind of nice. It's like, Jorn, because I didn't realize this. Yeah, he's like, Jorn, no, you're not. But we're all fighting our demons. Like, I'm fighting my demons, you're fighting your demons, and I understand. But we cannot, we cannot take a week off. Like, we cannot take 3 days off. Which again builds a lot of pressure. And then I'm like, dude, like, all right, but then we need to set an end date. Like, we need to set a date that we can live towards, where we have a go no go moment. Because otherwise, we're just gonna dig a hole where we have. You're not gonna see how to get out of the hole anymore, and then you're gonna get to a level personally where you don't want to get. So we agreed on that, and we said, okay, 23rd of September is his birthday. Either we have a party nonetheless for my birthday, or on top of that, whether we got fun with. We had 100,000 committed out of the 500,000 we wanted to raise. It would have been easy for us to say, okay, let's just sign the 100,000 and try more. But we said, and that was a clear statement for me, I don't want to live like close to a homeless existence anymore. Like, I don't want to raise 100,000 and just be bootstrapped like hell for another year or whatever that was, because we had been going for 3 years at that time. Yeah? So that was a clear rule. We don't get the full amount, we don't proceed. So I'm happy we didn't proceed. I think the biggest mistake we made when it came to raising was we raised small amounts with a small runway, like 6 to 8 month runway, and you cannot do that as a founder. You basically you're working yourself into a burnout if you do that. It's so much, it puts so much pressure on you in terms of you can't work with the best people, because you can't pay them. You're forced to work with interns who distract you a whole lot, and actually you shouldn't work with interns. Like, I disadvise you to work with interns if you're no larger than 5 people.
Why?
Because as an organization, basically as a imagine you're 2 founders. One founder, it's crazy to be one founder, but 2 founders, you're 2 locomotives. You're doing something which is unprecedented in case you're doing something that is innovative and disruptive. So you need to drive this change, and you will get a lot of hits in the face, but you keep on going. So you're a locomotive. If you are 2 locomotives and you hang a carriage behind that, you're not going as fast anymore. You're being held back. You need to look back. You need to nurture them, which is okay. I mean, it's like an intern is like a puppy with sweet eyes looking at you like, tell me what to do now. And that's the last you need. You need to hire locomotives. Your first 5 people need to be locomotives, and then you can consider hanging a carriage. Otherwise, your business is being held back. With 5 locomotives, you don't really notice it that much. I believe the future is one where where there's going to be constant learning, and where you have to evolve as an individual, and I think naturally you want to evolve as an individual. So I think the future is bright in that sense, but I think in the society that we live in, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to see the future as something very dark and bad, and the reality is there is going to be unemployment at a certain point, because there is going to be a huge change in which jobs can be enriched with artificial intelligence, which will in the shorter term will have as a consequence that some people will lose their jobs because those functions no longer matter. But I know that whatever I want to do, I hope that I will be happy doing it. I hope I still have the opportunity to be able to choose things to do that I might be good at one point, but what I would love to do.
I call it freedom, just a feeling I've been feeling. Gave me something to believe in, always there right when I need her. I
Ja,
call
is
it freedom,
echt waar.
just a
Dat is wel.
feeling I've been feeling. Gave me something to believe in, always there right when I need her. And we don't need much, no. We just wanna ride this ride, cause it feels so right. And we don't need